Shut up and sit down.
Hello guys, this is Andy from Bigmeks Workshop and Painting Studio again, and today I'm painting another Guild Ball fig for a change, which is Venin from the Alchemist team. So we're going to get straight into it. I'm using some thin coats of Vallejo's Violet, which is a very vibrant colour, and it really does stand out nicely. Now I am painting this, it's for a purpose actually. I've got a tournament at the end of the month and I want to be taking my Alchemist team, so hopefully, you know, I might actually get some wins in there for a change. It's been a while since I've had any proper games, so I've had 2 or 3 layers of Vallejo Violet just on the trousers. I'm going for a sort of a Harlequin-esque sort of checker pattern on one of his legs. And I'd never actually done much of this work before, so it was a very interesting sort of experiment for me to do it. So as you can see, I had watched Duncan on Games Workshop's Harlequin video, and I'm following basically what he suggested, which is get a very fine point on your brush and thin coats of black. And working the angle about 45 degrees wherever possible, using the folds as a guideline and also a place to hide any mistakes. So once I'd got the checker pattern in, it wasn't particularly neat, but obviously that was just the guideline. And the green areas, I started with Vallejo's heavy black green. Which doesn't really take well on the camera, but I had no real need to, as it's such a dark colour against the purple. I wanted a nice strong base, which when the highlights went over would actually look really cool. So here we are. You can see just about the colour transition between the purple and the blue. Sorry, purple and the green, just to get that basic outline what we're after. Skin, started off with Tusker fur, which is fast becoming a staple in my painting techniques at the minute. I'm really using that a lot for my skin work, as it gives me the option of having that deep shaded colour without actually using the washers as much, allowing me a lot more control over the paint. So it's definitely something you should try doing. Try and build up the facial colours without using washes. It's a very interesting experiment to try out. So on his jersey, it is a base of, let me find it on my list. I have a list today, it's just a matter of finding it. It is Skaven Black Dinge by Games Workshop, which is a very sort of a greeny grey colour. And thank you Dodge for saying well done, you sarky git. So yeah, I was actually switched on enough to write a list today, so I'll actually have a clue what I'm talking about. Well, maybe. So yeah, a couple of layers of the Skaven Black Dinge to get that striking sort of grey jersey, which really works well against the purple. It was a bit of an experiment. I wanted something sort of muted and very sort of foresty to go alongside the bright coloured trousers, which led to an interesting effect at the end of the fig. So as you can see, I'm building up that tone with very thin down paint, just to get a nice finish. The metalwork on his backpack and his belt was based in Vallejo's hammered copper, which I have been using a hell of a lot recently. It's a colour I've really taken to. It seems to be, I think I'll be overusing it, I suppose, on my work. So I'm going to have to branch out and try something different. So here we are, quick view of where we're currently at. Everything's just blocked in, apart from the poison thing in his hand, which is going to be safe for later. So the first highlights on the green is made with Cyberite green, which is a very blue and very bright green colour itself. and it actually really stood out nicely against the a darker green. So I was actually quite pleased with this result. It was just a bit of an experiment. I thought I'd give it a whirl because I'd never used that colour and it was really interesting. And it really stood out nicely against the purple and really made that green look vibrant. Now, I'm not going to lie, the checks aren't the best, but they are quite tricky to do. It does take a bit of time consuming. It is quite time consuming, and you do keep having to go back over the lines to make sure that they're thin enough and straight enough to actually look like they're doing a job. So just be careful if you're doing the Harlequin checks, just to really use thin down black for your paintwork. So once I'd got the Cyberite green down, I added a touch of off-white to the purple and started adding some simple highlights up to the upper areas, and it makes the checks really pop. And obviously where the creases are and trousers and such, I went over the entirety of the model. Paying extra care to the upper points on the diamonds, and also it gives you the opportunity to clean those lines a bit more, where the black is thickened or where you make a mistake and go over. So yeah, I'm throwing a blue wash over the entirety of the purple area. It just brings it all together, really adds a bit of depth to the pattern on the trousers. So the leather work is all based up in Rhinox hide. Again, it's a colour I'm using a hell of a lot for leather work. It's a really good starting point now. Very rich, sort of a lot of red in this brown. And it allowed the leather to really stand out against the more green hues what are covering the figure already. And over the metal work, good old Agrax. Get a layer of Agrax down just to add some depth into the into the recesses. Also throwing the Agrax all over the brown as well. The poison arm is based with moot green. Now that's not normally a base. It's normally a second or third colour you work with. But I wanted this poison to really be bright and vibrant, really stand out against the rest of the figure. So I've gone for a very sort of cartoony style on this one. I was just experimenting, I had a load of fun painting this because I was just trying different colours what I wouldn't have normally use together, which was quite interesting for myself, as obviously you all pick up your favourite colours every now and then and start using them extensively, and I'm no different to anybody else. So the first highlight on the flesh was done with Cadian flesh. I'm really enjoying using the four colours by GW for skin. They really work well together. So hats off to GW on that. The skin tones have got are very nice. So the edging on the metalwork, as you can see, I'm bitting and bobbing, just painting the areas of fancy. The edging on the metalwork is done with Vallejo's chainmail. I would normally go for gunmetal, but I felt that was a little bit too dark for for the effect I was going for. So I went with a chainmail, which is a slightly brighter colour, a lot more silver in it. The first proper highlight on the skin is doing Kislev flesh, just to the upper reaches, top of the brow, that sort of thing. And you can really start to see the creases in his forehead. And although he's only got a small face because of the bandana, it really does add a lot of character to it. Once the silver had dried and the agrax had dried, went over the metalwork with non-oil, which just works brilliantly on most metal colours, to be honest. Which is why I use it. The black just really makes all the detail pop on the metalwork. Leatherwork is highlighted with a mix of rhinox hide and dryad bark. Mainly on belts at this point, but I do go onto the boots as well using the same colour pattern. It gives you a kind of a very worn leather look, as you can see, and go back over it with a bit of agrax just to throw some definition in and around the detailing. And that's the thing I tend to do. I tend to throw a highlight on first, and then cover up any mistakes with a wash. And I do apologise about the camera here, but you can see where we're at the minute. And on the boots is basically the same. And onto the jersey, which is first highlighted in 2 or 3 thin coats of Mechanicus Standard Grey, which was a bit of a surprise to work so well with the what's it called? The Skaven Black Dinge, which has a bit of yellow and green into it, whereas Mechanicus Grey is just a straight grey, and it worked quite well as a highlight. So it diluted the green tones a little, but it didn't completely obliterate them. That was really nice. And that worked out really well. For the real hot spots though, I added a touch of Vallejo Sky Grey to it, which just brightened it up nicely, but it also kept it on the grey spectrum with a touch of yellow in there from the Sky Grey. And I'm just focusing on the jersey, where the edges of the muscles would be, as like I said, it's a very cartoony sort of figure. The Steamforged figs are great. They really are nice, and I wanted my team to have a bit of a cartoony sort of feel to it, without it being over the top. So I'm just adding the muscle definition with that Sky Grey on its own. Highlighting the metalwork again is done in Vallejo's Gold, which is a very, very thin colour, especially as it was an air range as well. Now, I tend to prefer the Vallejo metals over the GW ones. Pigments are a lot thinner, a lot easier to use in my opinion. Obviously some of you guys will probably have more success with Games Workshop metals, which is totally understandable. They do have some good colours, but I'm just mixing, just layering up with the Vallejo Gold at the minute, and that was totally interchangeable with probably something like Retributor Armour. Again, a very thin sort of layer paint. And onto the hair. Starting off with Rhinox hide again. Yeah, okay. Not really a big surprise at the minute. I'm using that all the time. But it does give me a very solid base brown. I was unsure what colour I wanted to do the hair, so it took me a while to decide on brown hair. I was looking at more of a black, sort of a black hair sort of style, but the brown sort of fitted really nicely. So Rhinox hide, as always, get plenty of water in there, make sure it's nice and thin, so it doesn't obscure the detail too much. And once I started on the highlights of the rhino's hide, I added Vallejo sand yellow into the into the rhino's hide to add some very nice sort of almost blonde sort of highlights to the figure. And yeah, the highlighting work on the hair, not great, but I know exactly what I'm going to be doing in a second. I'm just throwing some sand yellow highlights into it, just to break up that real dark tone. So picking out the single strands of hair is what I should be doing, but clearly I'm being lazy. So don't pay too much attention to that bit. But I'm going over the entire head with Recon Flesh Shade, just to add a sort of a rich red sort of depth to the colour. It completely blends the sand yellow into the rhino's hide, and just start throwing some point washers with the Requin in there. So at this point I decided I'm going to do some freehand work on the bandana. It takes a couple of attempts because I didn't even draw it on, I just decided to go straight onto the brush. So yeah, it took a little while before I got it right and before I was happy with the overall effect. So yeah, as you can see, it's a completely different jawline now. This is take 2 as such. And just go for the single row of teeth at the bottom of the bottom of the bandana, which was done in sky grey, and using the black, which is already there, to point out the detail. Once the bandana was done, I went back to the poison, which was highlighted in Scorpion Green by Vallejo, and had a bit of a wash thrown over as well, in a bit of a green wash in there. I used the Vallejo green wash, as that was the one what I could find. The Scorpion Green is a very, very bright colour, so it really works well with the moot green as a base. And I will just picking out the sort of the weird bubbles and gloopiness of the poison, just to make it look that bit more interesting. Once we've done that, just a case of finishing up with the base layers, just to find any parts of mist, get some black in there just to for any touch-ups. And it's just a case of just picking out the bits what you might have missed, or throwing some highlights in some way you haven't done, just like on the bandana as such. Now I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, I enjoyed painting this model. It was surprisingly fast to paint actually, it only took me a few hours. If you want to see some more of these sort of videos, if you want to learn more about painting, or if you have any questions to ask, feel free to message us on Facebook and on the comment section below. And if you want to keep up to date with our latest videos, hit like and subscribe and share with your friends. Thank you very much. This is Andy signing off. Ta-ra.